إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. O you who have believed, fear Allah as He should be feared, and do not die except as Muslims in submission to Him. Amma ba'd. So I'm going to start this khutbah for being straightforward. Happiness, as bluntly as I can put it, is purely based on your closeness to Allah. Completely. As blunt as I can be. It's not based on how much money you have on this dunya. It's not based on the entertainment that you gain in this dunya. It is based on happiness. The happiness is based on closeness to Allah. So there's something that needs to be done to have closeness to Allah. It is to enjoin in good, acting in obedience, and to refrain from disobeying Allah as best as you can. It's a struggle, but it is something that must be done. And this struggle to stay away from displeasing Allah and the struggle to also always be in obedience to Allah needs a certain quality, a certain virtue which we hear about all the time. All the time we hear about it. And this is what we call, what is known as sabr. Now, we've always heard sabr to mean patience. But as we know, in general, the Arabic language is a very powerful and strong language that English sometimes fails to fully encompass the words, word for word. So when we translate the word sabr into English, sometimes we hear patient endurance. So it's a compound. So the capacity to tolerate delay, trouble, or suffering without getting angry or upset. This is one understanding of sabr in English. Another one, fortitude. Fortitude is the strength of mind that enables one to encounter danger or to bear pain in adversity with courage. You see, now sabr sounds like a real virtue. You see what I mean? Equanimity. Equanimity is mental calmness, composure, and evenness of temper, especially in difficult situations. This is a very admirable quality, right? This is something that when you see it in people, you would respect. And forbearing, to restrain yourself with effort. These are all, you can say, definitions that surround the word sabr, that are amazing qualities that Allah Himself has said that they are excellent qualities in the Quran to have for every human. The Prophet ﷺ said that it is half your deen. Half your deen is sabr. What does that mean? Well, we understand that patience actually comes from true understanding of deen, and it also comes from firm faith of your Lord. Firm faith of your Lord comes from true understanding of your deen. Altogether, sabr is an immense part of it all. The Prophet ﷺ would mention faith and patience together in numerous occasions. And it is very important to understand that sabr is always is related to your destiny, because it's the virtue that will help you succeed in daily affairs. In everything you do, in every circumstance, you will need to exercise a level of sabr. So, we're going to go back to the knowledge and the faith. With knowledge, we can understand that life is full of trials and tribulations, and to succeed you need that sabr. There's no life without trial and tribulation. It's impossible. This is part of your life. You have to accept it. You have to have that knowledge that you're going to face it, and you have to have the virtue and qualities and the attributes to overcome it, to succeed in it. Know that sabr has immense reward in Jannah. Allah has saved for the people of sabr, great reward. And Allah is with the people and loves the people of sabr. The other part is faith. Faith in Allah, this is iman. We have to understand that whatever happens in our life, whatever happens in creation, happens with the permission and the knowledge of Allah. Both. No matter what it is, no matter what you feel it is in your life, it happens with both the knowledge and permission. This should be satisfactory for everyone, right? Knowledge. Also, we have to believe, this is what Allah says, that Allah will never, ever, ever burden us or test us with something more than we can bear. So keep that in mind. Whatever test you're going through, Allah has chosen you for that test, and Allah knows that you can succeed it. It's up to you to cultivate that virtue of sabr so that you can actually overcome it. Sabr is such a crucial quality. It is a staple so that you can overcome every trial. And know this, your destiny, whatever it may be, was chosen with wisdom, justice, and mercy. Every situation, you might not understand it at that moment, but you must believe, as it is in the Quran, that it is wisdom, justice, and mercy. Always for you, it's always best for you. So how important is sabr? Just from this by itself, we can see that it is crucial. Now, there are many instances of sabr that you can apply this. We can think of some maybe easy ones, like in obedience to Allah. There is sabr that requires obedience to Allah. What does this mean? Let's say we are doing our salah, as we're about to right after this khutbah. Khushu' needs something so that you can actually gain khushu'. What is that? It is that patience or that mental strength so that you can actually gain khushu' in salah. You see that there is like a preliminary here, the sabr. And we talked about how we can cultivate this. So sabr, that virtue, is crucial for every Muslim, even in the most you wouldn't call it rudimentary, but the most basic of worship, which is salah, khushu'. Right? And now with khushu', there's other things. Now when you try to perfect your salah, you're trying to perfect your adhkar, when you're trying to perfect your service to the community and your service to your family, all of this ihsan or these attempts for ihsan in your life or excellence in your life will result in like, what's the word? Indescribable sweetness and pleasure from all all the worship that you do of Allah. Indescribable. This is what the people of knowledge have said. Indescribable. They can't explain it. And this is something that we should work towards, that we can get this gift in this dunya. And of course, to know about the rewards of the akhirah, this will definitely help you in any effort in growing your or cultivating that sabr in all your worship of Allah. Now, there's the other side. This is to refrain yourself from evil. Refraining yourself from evil requires sabr. For example, you feel that need to do a backbiting of your brother or sister. Sometimes it's in your heart, you want to say something. But then you remember, through knowledge, that there is explicit punishment of backbiting. Wouldn't that knowledge help you in restraining yourself from committing disobedience? It would. That's why it's crucial, knowledge and faith, so that you can have sabr. And when you start practicing sabr, you'll get to a level where you start realizing that it starts not from when you're about to start the action, but when you're about to, when you have the initial thought that comes into your brain. It takes a lot of fortitude or mental strength to actually cut the trees of evil in your head. Because when it starts growing and you start thinking about it and start, having that conversation between you and the evil thoughts, it becomes more and more and more difficult to actually stop yourself. So what you do, the person of true sabr can cut it from the beginning. And that is something that we should train for. It's hard. That's why it's something that Allah has great praise for. And another thing, when you constantly train yourself, just as you will get the bliss or the pleasure from doing good, you will start feeling like a disgust towards the evil. Just like I'm sure most of us here, when you hear about something like pork, none of us feel the need or even want or desire to even touch it. And that can actually be for every sin, if we train ourselves for it. Now the next point I'm going to talk about is very, very important in our life, especially in today's day and age, because it again relates to sabr, but it affects everyone, it affects our ummah and a lot of people on this planet in a very negative way, which is in times where it is displeasing, both when if it's just a natural thing or from another human being. And the reason why I say this is because this is the main argument for atheism. You see? So when it becomes displeasing, because we have knowledge, we know we can't fall into despair due to the knowledge that it is a test from Allah. The person who doesn't believe in Allah or has no knowledge will always feel distress. And because of that, they have their beliefs. But we have ours, and we have proofs and evidences for it, and we have firm belief for it. In these times of displeasure, there's actually opportunity to please Allah. Allah has given us opportunity to please Allah in these times of displeasure. Why? Because we have an opportunity to behave correctly in accordance to Quran and Sunnah. And by doing that, we get immense reward. You see how it works? There's a story I've heard from one of the old people of the past. There was a lady who fell and broke her leg. She tripped and fell. And she was happy about it, and she felt nothing but she didn't feel any pain. And the reason why she felt no pain is because she had firm belief of the reward of Jannah that she would get. This is how it can help. This is how it can be applied on your life here, where things like that, where you might cry or curse or anything like that, she turned it into, she felt the actual pleasure on dunya for the akhirah. All hardships are given rewards. There's a reward for those who face, is mentioned many different types of afflictions that could happen to a person and what they're going to get in the day of judgment and in the akhirah as well. And for those who are saddened and feel burdened, don't they know that Allah is always close to those who are afflicted, always close to those who are afflicted. You have to always feel that and know that. And of course, this comes from, again, knowledge, learning, and again, faith in Allah. Without both of them, you won't have patience for these kind of situations. It is important to know that it is said that the one who suffered his whole life without a second of pleasure, when is dipped into Jannah for 1 second, he will swear that he's never felt any pain in his life. We all know this, right? So think about that when it comes to your own situations and exercise that sabr so that you can get that reward and that you can benefit from it. It is tough to leave heaviness in the heart, and that's the inward, and this is tough to leave complaining. But don't you know that the most foolish of complaints is the complaining of the weather? Today is a good day to complain about this, right? But because what you're going to do is you're just going to feel the weather worse when you complain, and you're going to do nothing. You're just going to waste your time. So that sabr is what helps you even through things like that. I'll give you an example of how to use sabr in a way that is practical. Because sabr is something that people think of it as a passive thing. It's not passive at all. It's in fact an active worship. For example, I'll give you a light example. You go to a restaurant and the food that you're craving that day is not available that day. You went through this storm to get it, you've been craving it all day. You get there, it's not there. So there's a few things you can do. One of them is to be angry. You can get angry. Why is there no, I came here. Why isn't there no food? This is a restaurant. How could you, don't you know that there's customers coming? You could do that. You get nothing out of it. Or you can actually implement strategy, which is, do you know if you have anything in the back maybe? Are you expecting a shipment soon? These are more productive questions than just to being angry for nothing. You see what I mean? And this is a light example, but think about real life examples. How can you apply that? Always to problem solving. Problem solving comes from sabr. Because if you don't have sabr, you're going to be in a state of panic all the time, or in a state of distress. You won't be able to move anywhere, if that makes sense. So sabr is crucial for so many virtues, to build other virtues as well. The Quran says in Surah Al-Baqarah, and we will surely test you with something of fear, hunger, and loss of wealth, lives and fruits, but to give good tidings to the patient, who, when disaster strikes them, say, indeed we belong to Allah, and indeed to Him we shall return. Those are the ones whom upon our blessings from the Lord and His mercy, and it is those who are rightly guided. Let's be one of those people. Now, there's the other side. Now, these are natural events. There is the other side, which is things that happen to you from a person. That might feel even worse. Your ego might be touched and all of that. It's a result of free will at the end of the day. This is something Allah gave us. This is part of the test, free will, to choose to do good or bad. And a lot of the bad comes from disobeying Allah. That's just plain and simple. A lot of the bad of people comes from disobeying Allah. Now, if you feel insulted or you feel harmed by somebody, if you don't have sabr, you could actually cause worse harm by committing a sin yourself. Perhaps by retaliating without actual, it's like a wrong retaliation. You're committing a sin yourself. Why? Because you don't have sabr of the situation. Don't you know this situation came from the permission and with the knowledge of Allah as well, right? Isn't this an opportunity to do something good? An opportunity so that you can actually benefit from this situation that's afflicted you? For example, giving that person 70 excuses. Giving that person 70, that's a great reward on yourself because you're following the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Why are we leaving opportunity like this just so that we can feel bad? It is a choice at the end of the day. So again, it's from knowledge and faith of Allah that we can overcome all these things. And we can gain that virtue of sabr. Sabr is something so respectable at the end of the day. If somebody has those virtues, that is a person that you can respect. If somebody is always in distress, always, crushing themselves and all, is not necessarily a respectable gesture, you can call it. You want to be, because we're as Muslims, we are the khalifas of this earth. We should be people of that uphold high virtue and quality. And I want to conclude the khutbah with one more thing. This virtue and this quality is the quality that matches the prophets, all of them. It is very important. So leave this khutbah with one thing. Try your best to learn how to gain sabr. Sabr is not something small. It's not just sabr, you hear this all the time. It's something that requires training. It requires effort. It requires mental fortitude. It requires bravery. Bravery is another word for sabr. And when you have it, not only are you going to be respectable on earth, you will be one of the loved ones that Allah calls His loved ones. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. We ask Allah to understand the value of sabr. We ask Allah that for us to be His loved ones through the virtue of sabr. We ask Allah to be of people of sabr in every situation. We ask Allah that in obedience that we have sabr. We ask Allah that in getting rid of desire, we have sabr. We ask Allah to have sabr in all situations that afflict us. We ask Allah so that we can be successful in every test and tribulation that Allah is going to give us. We ask Allah to see the benefit in all trials and tribulation. We ask Allah to be of those who are respectable on earth as well as loved in the heavens. We ask Allah to be of those who can attain the qualities of the prophets. We ask Allah that we gain more knowledge, as the Prophet ﷺ asked only not to increase anything but for knowledge. We ask Allah so that we can have more faith, so that we can practice more sabr, and that we can be of those who are loved. Ameen. 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 Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad kama sallaita ala Sayyidina Ibrahim wa ala ali Sayyidina Ibrahim innaka Hamidun Majid. Allahumma barik ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad kama barakta ala Sayyidina Ibrahim wa ala ali Sayyidina Ibrahim innaka Hamidun Majid. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليهم من ربه والمؤمنون كل آمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله لا نفرق بين أحد من رسله وقالوا سمعنا وأطعنا غفرانك ربنا وإليك المصير. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت. ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا وأخطأنا. ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا. ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به. واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. أقيم الصلاة.